So if you love that Umbrella Guy too, make sure that you're subbed, hit that bell for daily notifications. And if you want to go further, and you are under no obligation to do so, but if you want to go further, you love the channel and want to help it out, links are in the description. One of those things is the case of the Littlest Umbrella. It has 2 days left, and it's been one of the interesting things to watch, because even though we are getting railed on by gatekeepers, it hasn't mattered. They want to call you hate group. They want to call you Nazi, racist. They want to go out, target children and on because of a comic book. Well, that hasn't worked out for them. It has been a success. There are 2 comics here. In fact, one of them actually pays homage to a lot of stuff we're going to talk about. So, keep that in mind, and well, watch until the end. We'll talk about it a little further. So today we are going to be joining Bleeding Cool. That's right. We are returning to that wonderful world of entertainment. We are returning to one person that I pretty much don't like, and that's Rich Johnston. And the reason for that isn't because of the terrible writing. It isn't because of the terrible optics. No, it's because the guy, he draws a line in the sand, and he forgives people on one line of it if they share a certain ideological mindset. But if they fall on the other side, well, woe be it unto them. We've seen this again and again too. When this guy has brought stuff up. In this article, it comes as no surprise. But yeah, when you're seeing this kind of stuff, yeah, it really showcases who this person is. Now, what this is about is Twitter, and basically the way they have set up this misgendering rule. You can go out and you basically can deplatform anyone if you have pronouns in your description. If you go out and basically, you say you're a specific identity, well, people, they have to follow said identity. Now, people like Rich Johnston, they wanted platforms to be that way, but they don't like it when some people out there that, well, they're part of a discussion they don't like, actually utilize that, by finding their own identities too. See, I found this to be something that was really a huge quandary at first. You had people out there that you would complain about because they put out terrible products. You would have fireback saying, well, you hate me because of my identity. If you tried to engage them, it didn't matter if you were being nice or not. People would deplatform you for it. They would take away. Now, that's been a big game of this anyway. It's just like the comic book thing. I've talked about how people will deplatform you because you try to do your own thing and successfully. When you're going out and you're talking to consumers and you're saying, hey, there's a problem with products, a problem with professionalism or the lack thereof. If you look at all of these issues, of course they want to knock you off the stage because what you're saying, it resonates. That's why, of course, COMICSGATE, that label there anyway, it's always been railed on. And well, latest transphobic attacks from COMICSGATE falsely label others as transphobic. Now, what's interesting about the guy writing this too is, well, his hot takes on things. For example, here is an article about the artist John Malin. Rich Johnston didn't like the fact that John Malin said the SJWs are not superheroes. They're more akin to the ideology of fascist Germany. So he came up with his own little conspiracy theory that he tried to blame on others, even though he didn't source it to anyone. He says the following, and I kid you not, this is the way it's going. I'm showing you this in here. You see this. This is from an old thing that he liked. You see Shell Beach. Wonder why Shell Beach would be in there. Well, if you're a movie buff, you would understand that came from Dark City. But according to Rich Johnston, the reason it's there is not because someone maybe likes a movie. Nope, that is an alt-right dog whistle because, well, you're talking about a movie, Dark City, which is essentially the wider version of The Matrix, according to them. You have to jump through hoops to get to this too, but yeah, stay with me here because, it talks about certain items in it. It has this irreverence for, well, governing bodies, and it looks at things from a nightmarish future. Yeah, but when you look at that, The Matrix, it talked about red pilling. Dark City, well, it's kind of like that, but everyone is a lot more white. So, when you go through this, has to be a dog whistle to the alt-right because red pilling, matrix equals white, dark city. I tell you, when you look at all this crap together and you think about the word salad that I just told you, yeah, can you believe that someplace shopped this? And yet, there it is. Another thing that they were head over heels about apologizing was this idea that it's okay as a professional on Twitter to go and to basically expose your butthole to someone. I kid you not about that. To expose your butthole, as long as you do it to someone that, well, they don't like. This, it even calls people pearl clutchers for that. It goes through this here by baring his ass cheeks at him and tweeting the results saying, hey, I made some F-off tweets, but also F you COMICSGATErs, and really F Ethan Van Sciver. You know, you can see, well, this is heavily redacted, but you can see, yeah, it tags people in and it tells them that stuff. This, while not only going and working for DC, which, well, that label that they worked with DC is just an abysmal failure. So good job with that. But also, well, working with Zoe Quinn, somebody that's on the Safety and Trust Council, somebody that would say, if I did this, this would basically be sexual harassment at the minimum. You know, it would be something much, much worse. Well, if it went out any farther than that. You know, the same people that have stood up and said Vic Mignogna is a monster because he hugs people. Yeah, those same people, they're okay about falling all over themselves to basically excuse this. They have excused it. But hey, you know, again, that's what you expect. Even in the articles that are supposed to be nice. I mean, when you're talking about one on Ethan Van Sciver not being a Nazi, his signature, you know, it's something that people have talked about out there being a shout out to Nazis. It's supposed to be a swastika because these folks, they don't know Iron Maiden. Well, he notes in here, knowing it's about Iron Maiden, but still, that's not good. Why? Because excusing a logo by saying it's from Iron Maiden isn't the best excuse, given the long-standing history heavy metal bands have had with their own fascination with Nazi imagery. Very interesting way to put that together. So yeah, I mean, that's who you're dealing with here. That's the kind of idiots that you deal with. So you start out with an article with the same basic garbage attacks. I mean, we don't even need to read through that. I'm not going to anyway, because, well, you know, I don't want to waste your time. Then he actually goes in and says, well, there are problems with the comic book industry. That's something that you will notice now that these folks weren't saying 2 years ago. There are actually problems with the comic book industry, and, well, they're trying to obfuscate that through predatory practices and prices that are going through the roof. Also, they don't give a crap about source material and on. They admit that. These people admit that. They want to loop people into categories like liberal, progressive, inclusive, conservative, and so on. You know, because of course, if you're talking about those problems, well, depending on what you think is acceptable or not, obviously you're a conservative. You know, for myself, for example, I don't think that discrimination should be allowed when you're going out and you find out a guy votes the quote-unquote wrong way, firing him. Yeah, that makes me a conservative. Isn't that amazing? Then when we go through, we get to this certain point here about how terrible and hurtful those meanies out there, they are. Yeah, look at that. That latest social media battle is both hurtful and, frankly, pretty evil. You know, you're evil out there. Twitter has a number of guidelines for acceptable content and hate speech, and this has seen a number of COMICSGATE individuals reported, suspended, or banned from social media, with transphobic comments being a repeated hot-button topic. So, why have a number of COMICSGATers done? Some have systemically removed any previous transphobic comments that they may have posted, editing their profiles so they now appear to identify identify as non-binary, changing their pronoun preference to they, them, or similar, and then reporting any anti-comic skaters who have referred to them as he or him for hate speech, and getting them suspended or banned off Twitter. It's a deliberate misunderstanding and mocking of the common trans refrain of, to be trans, you only have to say you're trans, which is meant to encourage people who don't have access or desire to medically or physically transition, and reassure them that their gender is still valid and self-identification is more than enough. So, we're not allowed to utilize these same rules when people go out. In fact, when I went out and scrubbed my social media because people were mass flagging things that I had said in 2018, hoping to knock me off, that was supposedly hiding quote-unquote transphobic content. Not only that, that was okay. That's okay because of Rich Johnston. They don't care about that. They care that they applied a label to someone. Again, whether that's comics, whether that's gaming, whether that's anime, it's all the same nonsense. You have a label attached. You have a stigma attached. Therefore, you're the devil. Going further, too, and this is where it gets cruel, and COMICSGATE shows its mean streak. Transitioning can be a traumatic process, the result of many years of build-up, self-examination, and coming to terms with who you are. The decision to go public can alienate friends, family, and colleagues, and is the first step in a long and arduous journey. As a result, it can be intensely personal and stressful event. For comic skaters to mock this, to belittle this form of self-identification, and to instead portray it as a meaningless joke just to score some social media points, get people banned, is deeply hurtful. So, when you look at that, it says plenty about judging who gets to identify what way and who gets to own identity, who is a gatekeeper and on. Rich Johnston, I'm talking to you too, bud. Who are you to decide what a person's identity is? Who are you to decide whether they get to put they, them out there or decide that they want to be called? Well, it doesn't matter. I mean, we have pages upon pages of identifiers out there, of qualifiers. I saw 5 Excel sheets of people saying, this is what I identify as. But me, I'm not allowed to do that. Me, I'm some kind of monster if I decide to do that. And moreover, if I have to go and scrub my Twitter history because of mass flagging, or God forbid, one of you weirdos actually finds a picture of, say, my kid where I thought we could actually discuss something way back when, yeah, that's my bad. That's my bad, just like it, was Ethan Van Sciver's bad that some guy decided to expose himself, or it was John Malin's bad that, well, he had an opinion on something. So God forbid we have to burn his job down. Very telling, man. Very, very telling. But of course, COMICSGATE is Cartman. Oh my God. Are you trying to fat shame me, buddy? Are you trying to fat shame me? I think this right here, I think is probably against Twitter's rules too. But what do I know? Anyway, tell me what you think about this stuff. If you like this kind of content too, as I said, make sure that you're subbed. Make sure you hit that bell for daily notifications. And if you want to go further, well, there are links in the description. Again, under no obligation to look at them whatsoever. I just appreciate you showing up. Community, it has value there. I appreciate you allowing any endeavor to go on. If you do want to help out, though, it has 2 days left. We're looking at 1,249 backers. We have $62,110 there. It has done tremendous. Now, what we're talking about, 2 comics attached. All ages Lovecraftian tale involving basically this character so my daughter could understand, hey, this is for you. All ages does not mean kids, however. We're talking about a horror tale. It's just something that can be fun, it can be cute, but also it has horror elements. Now, the other comic that's attached here is a satirical shout out to the very people that are being attacked. COMICSGATE. You see that there. You'll notice a lot of people that you probably know. Maybe some you don't remember, depending on what's been around. But yeah, the search for the goody bird. If you're wondering about that, hit me up. I'll tell you what that's about. But again, it's a satirical look at everything that's transpired. This will be in full color. The other was black and white with a color front. But yeah, like I said, it's something to back and to say, gatekeepers, look the hell away. But yeah, tell me what you think, especially on this article here, and the idea of where Twitter is right now. I mean, when you look at where this social media platform is, people have been banned repeatedly simply for going out and trying to have discourse. You have people that are blocked, and they still report and attack you and try to drive you off of that. So if they see reciprocity in that, if they see some kind of return, is that monstrous there? I mean, there was somebody that told me that, well, you know, if you go out and say you look at D-Day, for example, if you look at the people there, all of those folks, they use the same weaponry. Do you ever confuse who the sides were at the end of the day? I mean, yeah, you can go out and say you've claimed the moral high ground, but when you're suspended and basically you have no other place to voice your opinions because, well, social media is getting to that point, then what does that matter? What does that matter indeed? But anyhow, you tell me what you think. Agree or disagree. It's welcome here. Now, I want to end by saying that I appreciate you. Basically, these people haven't, and I want to say that I do indeed. I appreciate you for making this possible, making other things possible. Yeah, so I want to thank you for showing up. I try to do that every time. You know, I don't want to can that. You know, so if I word it differently, it's because I want to remind myself to tell that to you. So thank you. I appreciate you showing up. I appreciate you for making this endeavor possible, and let's do it again soon.